I really appreciate that you guys are here. And you know, I sent out the email. You know why I'm here. You know that I want to meet you guys and understand your problems, your feedback. A lot of people already gave me feedback, and I'm really appreciative of that. But I'm excited to meet every one of you by the end of the night. We might not be able to have a heart-to-heart conversation because there's just too many people. But I want to shake your hand. I want to say hi, and I want to thank you for supporting Jumpcut. With that said, today's agenda, I guess, is that, well, usually when I have these meetups in smaller cities with, you know, 10, 15 people, I usually try to go around and talk to people individually. Unfortunately, or fortunately, there's a lot of people here, so I think that it'd be really, really helpful, or I thought that it would be really helpful to essentially kind of do like a Q&A session where we just talk to, where I just answer questions from everybody here that kind of, that would help everybody else out. So if you have anything that you're dying to know, or that where you're stuck, or something that you have been working on and you just don't know where to go, feel free to raise your hand, ask the question. And the only thing I ask of you is to make sure that you ask it in a way that is relevant to everybody else. So instead of saying, hey, I have this like Kung Fu channel and I don't know what moves to use to go viral, you know, try to phrase that in a way that will benefit other people too, because talking about Kung Fu on the stage is not going to help everybody. And then also, I know how many people here are from are subscribed to Automated Income Machine, aka AIM. Damn, that's crazy. This is so different from Toronto. Toronto, it was like way more people, and then also way more Viral Academy. But anyway, Kel back there, who's running the camera, is basically, she was one of the writers for AIM, and if you guys are a part of AIM, go talk to her after. She probably knows just as much as me about the content, if not more, in nuanced ways. So make sure you talk to her and get her insight on things as well if you don't get to ask the question from me. All right, with that said, I'm going to be fielding questions from everybody here about Viral Academy, which I'll refer to as VA, or also Automated Income Machine, which is AIM. With that said, is there anybody that has like a dying question? They're like, man, I'm just stuck somewhere that, you know, I don't know where to go. Yeah.
What do you think about re-promoting old videos from 2011 and 2012 that one has? Like, for instance, I have a video that I didn't do anything with, ended up getting 18,000 views of me playing Jeanette Lee, Black Widow in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And I want to give it a reboost and see if it can go viral.
So the question,
chance of doing that?
Yeah, the question is, what's your take on promoting old videos from like 2011? I think it's okay to do that. A lot of people do that today. A lot of times you'll see on Reddit, essentially, videos that have gone viral in the past get reposted time and time and time again. If anyone's not on Reddit, like at least once a day, you should be, because it tells you kind of, because it tells you essentially how to, sorry, for everybody who's in Viral Academy, because it tells you what is going viral and what is not, right? And so with, in terms of your question, this has happened all the time. Videos from like, you know, 10 years ago still get posted today. With that said, it has to be a good video. And if it's not a good video, there's no point in promoting it at all. Yeah.
What was your day-to-day like when you were starting out on our level? Did you have a full-time job, and did you come home and create? Because I know you guys were you were out a lot, recording a lot for Simple Pickup, and then did you come back home and edit? And how'd you manage your time and get around?
Got it. So it would also be helpful if you, if everybody who asked a question just mentioned if it was regarding Viral Academy, VA, or AIM. So this is for Viral Academy, right? So the question is, what did my day-to-day look like when I first started out making videos? And I think it was a shit show at the beginning. Like, it was just really bad. So we would essentially just, I think that the thing we did really well was, we're like, what's the next milestone we want to hit? And we would really focus on that. So I guess the month to month or the week to week was okay, but the day to day was really, really horrible. So I'll tell you what it is, and I'll tell you what I would have done if I could go back in time. So the day-to-day at that time was just like, we would just wake up, we had a time that we would come into the office, quote unquote, which was actually just Jesse's mom's like guest room that we all slept in also. And we had desks there, it looked really bad. But we would go in there and say, all right, let's get stuff done. And we wouldn't have daily goals of what we would get done. So some of us would answer emails, some of us would go do marketing, some of us would edit. And it wasn't until, the thing we did well was that we had weekly goals, which was, bi-weekly goals. So every 2 weeks we had to have a video out because we promised that to our audience. And so at the beginning half of the first half of those 2 weeks, we just kind of did whatever and that we thought was productive, but it wasn't. Toward the end, we got like really, really productive because we're like, shit, we have to get this out because we have to meet a deadline because our fans are expecting it. And so we were really productive during that time, and we would like pull all-nighters pretty much every 2 weeks because we would want to get a video done. And so that was good because we had a deadline and we would work toward it toward the end of the 2 weeks. But what was bad was the beginning of the 2 weeks, we didn't really do anything. Like a lot of people, they check their email, they check their Slack, they check text, or they do these things that they think is productive. You think that you're getting things done, but if you actually look back at your whole week and you say, all right, which one of these things, like how many of these things actually contributed to the bigger goal, contributed to like my overall success, it's a very small portion. And so what I would have done if I looked back, if I could go back in time was, I would still have those bi-weekly goals, which was really great, but every day, which is what I do now, every day I tell myself, okay, what's the most important fucking thing that I could be working on right now? And I literally block off a 3-hour chunk of time to actually do that. And so I think that's really the most important thing, is to figure out your kind of long-term goals, obviously, your semi-short-term goals. For us, it was every 2 weeks. And then also your daily goals. You don't have to sit down and think for an hour. Just literally spend 5-10 minutes at the beginning of the day saying, what's the most important thing I can work on? And literally block off 3 hours of your time. And that's what I have found has been most helpful. Yeah, over here.
Yeah, so I'm a Jumpcut Academy member, and I'm providing a service.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, through my videos, should I let them into my personal life and give them let them know who I am, what my day-to-day looks like, or should I just propose it as like a professional service where I don't go into my personal life? Just give them what the service is, what it is I'm trying to present to them, give them that, or should I give them more like a daily vlog kind of concept where they get into my life, they get to know, like, and trust me?
So sorry, I missed it. What's the channel about?
So my personal channel is about I want to be a concierge to people that go to Miami Beach. I'm a Miami Beach resident. We have a huge tourist population every single year, and I wanna
Who's saying woo over here?
I want to use that as I just want to. So we made $500 billion in revenue last year. I just want a little chunk of that, and I just don't know if I should present it in a way that
Oh, so it's for your business.
It's for a business.
Okay. So I mean, to answer the question for everybody here, so the question is, should I be more personal in my videos, or should I make it more like, professional and not tell them about my personal life? It really depends. There's no right answer for that. I would say depends on what kind of channel and what kind of business you have. If it's something like that, then I wouldn't go too deep into your personal life, because you got to think about it. It's not really going to make more sales, right? For them to know that you wake up at a certain time and you're hanging out with your grandma and all that stuff. But if you're making a channel where you're giving life advice, or you're giving dating advice, then it could increase sales, because the more they get to know you, the more they trust you for that advice. But if you're just trying to sell some type of tourism service for people that are visiting, not so important. So I would just say, for everybody out there, really think about what your channel is, who your target audience is, and figure it out from there. There's no right answer, though. But for you, I would say it's generally not going to be super productive to get too personal. Yeah.
Hey,
that was a fast hand. He just went
sorry, I've been one to ask.
waiting for 10 years.
As far as anxiety goes, when you first started, what did you do to get over that hump of going out and talking
As far as what goes, sorry?
Anxiety.
Okay, anxiety, yeah.
So as far as that goes, like, what did you do in the beginning to get over the hump of basically being able to go out and talk to people, or even just sitting down in your home, you know, looking at the camera and thinking to yourself about how many people are gonna view it, if it's gonna come out like, you know, like absolute crap, or like, was there anything you did or a ritual you had to get over that?
It's funny because a lot of people ask me this. So the question is, what did you do to get rid of your anxiety to be in front of the camera at the beginning? Yeah. And it's just a normal thing to be shy in front of the camera. I remember when I was first in front of the camera, it was, I think it was right when I started college, maybe senior year of high school. And I recall being in front of the camera. I watched the video again. I'm like, fuck, I sound weird. Oh my God, is that what people hear when I talk? No, like you're literally, like I'm literally saying this. And what I've found, because I started making more and more videos, is that everybody thinks they sound weird when they see themselves on camera. Literally every single person. If you want to like make your friends feel insecure and play a joke on them, record, like just say, hey, say something to the camera or whatever, and then show it to them and be like, man, you sound really weird. And I guarantee you they're going to be like, fuck, you're right, what? Is that how I sound? I do that all the time because it's just like a human thing. The way that you hear yourself when you talk is completely different than the way that the mic picks up your voice. Right? And so when you hear yourself, you go, wow, that's so bad. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And it's a double-edged sword because on one hand, it's really not that bad. Like everybody, like the way you talk on camera, especially if it's kind of, especially if it's just off the cuff, that's generally how people hear you as, and that's how you are known as. But on the bright side, there are certain things, especially if you're doing something scripted or something that's just direct to camera, it's not like, you know, someone's just recording you for fun. You can actually go in and be really, really critical of yourself because you can use that to say, yeah, I am really weird doing this and doing that, and start to improve. And so go back to your question, there's nothing that I really did to get over that anxiety because it just takes practice. And I know this is not the answer that a lot of people want, but that's just the truth. There are certain hacks here and there that I'm sure you can Google, you can YouTube, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it just takes practice. And if you really want to practice, literally do it every single day. You don't have to post it on YouTube. You don't have to post it for people to see. Just be in front of the camera, like literally read a script, read Martin Luther King's speech, right? And then see how your cadence is, see how your enunciation is on each word. How, like, where do you pause? Do you pause too much, too little? All these things, and just practice. With that said, I want to kind of relate to everybody who's starting out a little bit more by saying that when we first started, to make a 5-minute video, I recall spending about 2 hours on camera. For Jesse, so 2 hours of footage to make a 5-minute video. With Jesse, he spent about 4 hours, I'd say, on average, because he was just like thinking way too much. So, you know, don't take that as like I should spend 2 hours. We spent way too much time. I think if we just spent 30 minutes or an hour, it would have come out exactly the same. But I'm saying that to let you know that you're not alone. Everybody feels weird on camera, and unless you get used to it, unless you practice, you're going to continue feeling that way. And it's a normal thing, so don't worry too much about it. Yeah.
Let's say you're just getting started and you don't have any, or you have like way too many ideas. Like, can you think of an empirical way to converge to a solution? For some people like myself, I don't just have a light bulb that pops up in my head. So is there like some sort of 1, 2, 3 step? I don't know. Something to make it easier to converge to that solution and narrow down to something sustainable that you can do for a long time as far as the viral academy.
Okay, so let me rephrase. You have too many ideas, and you want a way to be able to figure out what's the best one?
The best one, yeah.
Okay. So I would think about it 2 ways. One is you got to figure out, you got to think to yourself, if I was doing this for 10 years, would I continue enjoying it? And don't kid yourself either, because I know a lot of people who think that they would enjoy doing something, But about 2 years in, 3 years in, when they start getting some traction, they're like, man, I hate this. And that's why you see a lot of people on YouTube specifically, and even CEOs, entrepreneurs of startups, they get depressed after a while because they're working on something that they're not passionate about, right? And here's the thing, it's not easy to succeed. I always say if it's easy, everyone would do it. It's very, very hard. And the problems actually don't get easier. All the problems you think you have now, it's going to get way harder, right? But the thing is, if you continue to think that it's fun and you can continue to be passionate about it, it's very easy to, not easy, but it's much easier to deal with those problems in the future. And so one really huge aspect of making a decision is thinking to yourself, if I did this for literally 10 years, would that make me happy? And if the answer is, there's no way you can be 100% sure, but generally speaking, if you're like, yeah, I'm 60% sure that it's yes, then that's when you do it. If it's anything lower than that, then I would reconsider where you would find happiness. The second part of it is, just trying out a bunch of things. Once you go through that framework of will this make me happy in 10 years, it just comes down to trying stuff. So you might choose one thing and say, oh, I'm going to do this for 10 years, but it might not work, right? It might, when you make the video or when you start the business, you'd be like, this kind of sucks. Or when you show other people, they're going to be like, this kind of sucks. Or when you sell your products, people are going to be like, hey, this fucking sucks. Kill yourself, which I've gotten a lot of times, by the way. By the way, yeah, don't pay attention to haters. You're gonna get them. So the other thing is just try a bunch of different things, see what works, see what sticks, get feedback from other people, get feedback from the community, and then iterate from there. Your first idea or your first few ideas are probably going to be shit, and they're not gonna work. And so you keep trying it, keep getting feedback, and if you keep trying it, keep getting feedback, and keep iterating, then you're eventually going to build something really, really great. But don't make the assumption that, hey, I have like these 10 choices. Which one should I pick? Because I only have one chance. Chances are you're going to pick like 5 of them, you're going to fail, and then the 6th one, that's going to work. Or maybe like some iteration of those 5 is going to work. Yeah?
So these are all questions, and she's recording. Are we going to get like a link to this recording?
Yes, you will get a link to this recording. We're still determining if we should send it only to New York people or everybody else, but you guys will definitely get the copy of this recording. Yeah, so everyone who's recording me, you're just wasting bandwidth, or you're just you're just wasting storage on your camera. Yeah.
You said before you were having a bi-weekly goal, so you were having 2 videos a month, right?
Yeah.
As a single person doing this, what should be a good goal for me?
It depends on so many things. Yeah, there's no right answer to that. So number one is it depends on your time. If you're an investment banker and you're working 80 hours a week, I would say you should probably do 1 video per month. If you're a student and you don't have any part-time job, you can probably get away with 1 per week. And so it really just depends on your time, number one. And then number 2, the complexity of your video. If you're doing something that's just like, hey, I just have to do some research, write something down, and then like film it and edit it, that's a lot faster than something like if you guys have watched In a Nutshell, right? Or Lessons from the Screenplay, or DSLR Guide, where they like really, really complex like essays and thoughts. Yeah.
Is there a sweet spot of length of video? Like if you go like longer than 6 minutes, is it too long for people? Sweet spot.
So the question is there a sweet spot for video length, like minutes wise? No, there's not. There's so many, there's like so many channels that have done 1-minute videos and have succeeded and still continue to succeed. And there are tons of people who do like 15-minute videos. My favorite channel, and the reason I got this side of the tattoos is my favorite channel, and surprisingly, the artist's favorite channel, which we found out on the day of, is called Kurzgesagt, or In a Nutshell. And yeah, their videos are like 15 minutes long, and they take probably they release a video I think once a month ish. It's not like super quick. The turnaround time is very long, but they got millions, and every time a video comes out, it like goes super viral because it's just so well done. And so to answer your question, no, there's no magic number. I would say if you had to just start somewhere, try to make it 4 to 7 minutes, but like definitely that's nowhere close to being a rule. That's just like a guideline if you just don't know where to start.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. Yeah.
Hi. So you know the intro to the Eric Andre show where it's like
I love that.
insane and then he like ends up at the desk.
Uh-huh.
So that's my life every day. As a mom.
I'm jealous. Okay, no, I'm not jealous then.
So like, you know, I work full time and I have a kid and my channel is about motherhood and personal growth. It's gonna segue into comedy because I'm actually funny, so I'm gonna incorporate that.
We'll see about that.
So, my question is, like, picture that intro. How do you maintain consistency if life feels like that?
You know, I forgot what the intro. So the question is, I forgot what the intro looks like, first of all. But so to rephrase, are you saying your life is like that, or like your content is like that?
My life is like it just feels like you're just going a million miles. And you know, I feel like a lot of New Yorkers can relate to this.
Sure.
You're going nonstop till your head like hits your pillow, and even then your mind is like still going. And then you wake up and you like feel like I'm behind already. So like if life is so fast paced and you're just like going and you're in demand, how do you maintain your consistency? Because it's like I feel like releasing videos, like we were talking about how long to do them for, how often to do them for. You get this idea like, well, I want to do this many a week, but then you might find out that it's like hard to keep up with it. Like, how do you stay consistent?
Got it. I think there's no magic bullet. So the question is, you know, there's a lot of shit going on in life. You have a job, you might have kids, you have a relationship, et cetera, et cetera. How do you stay consistent with, in this case, making videos, or maybe for you, those of you that are in AIM, stay consistent with writing or, you know, growing your audience? So there's no magic bullet, to be honest with you, to stay consistent. I think it's just a mindset shift. I would recommend reading this book called The One Thing.
I just finished it and returned it to the library.
Yeah. I mean, as with any like self-help book, I think there's a lot of fluff in there. But actually, by the way, random tangent. If you guys go on Blinkist.com and subscribe for $7 a month, you can actually read a summary of all of like the really popular books. And from there, you can determine, is this going to be all fluff or is it actually going to be good? And the ones that are all fluff, you have a really great summary of it. The ones that are good, you can actually read the book. But anyway, I think it's just a mindset shift. Like, this is a really polarizing example, but I always say, look, if I had your family right here with a gun to their head and I said, hey, you have to make 1 video per month and take care of your kid and do your job, how are you going to do that? You're going to make time for it. Right? You're going to make time for it. And so as graphic as that example is, now take it down a couple steps. If I said, I'll give you $1 million if you make a video every single week, but you still don't neglect your family, you don't neglect your work, you're still doing great work, how are you going to do that? If I give you $1 billion, how are you going to do that? You're going to do it. Right? You're going to find time to do it. And if you can find time to do it for $1 billion, then you can find time to do it. And so it's really just a mindset shift. How you actually get there is going to be different for everybody. For me, it's scheduling my day like by 15-minute increments, because when I find that if I do that, I never waste any time. Right? Like every day at the beginning of the day, I write down I have on my calendar exactly all the tasks I'm going to do that day, and I pick only the most important ones so that I don't waste any time. For other people, it might just be, I want to be more free. I don't want to be that rigid. In that case, then you can say, I'm just going to work on one thing, put a 2-hour block, maybe even 1-hour block, and do it every single day. So there's going to be different systems for everybody, and keep in mind that a lot of times you set up a system, it doesn't work, it's not for you. Don't give up, just try to find another system. One thing that I've found really helpful is to have an accountability partner. I remember when I didn't go to the gym and I wanted to, I would stick a $100 bill to my door And every day, I would tell my roommate, if I don't get up at 7 a.m. with you, because he wakes up at 7 a.m. every day to go to the gym, you take that money and you spend it on something stupid. And so for like a whole month, I would wake up because I didn't want to lose $100. And if money's not a motivator for you, then do something really embarrassing. One time money stopped working because that's when we started making money. $100 was like whatever, right? And so I said, all right, so now if I don't go to the gym, I'm going to go outside to the main street that we were at and be in my underwear singing I'm a Little Teapot for 2 hours. Right? And so I was like, I'm not doing that. And I said, you can record it. And so I never wanted to do that, and therefore I was accountable and I never missed the gym. So this can, setting up accountability systems for yourself is really helpful too. You don't have to go that crazy, but find a system that works for you. That's the moral of the story. Yeah, let's go over here.
Hey, so this is for Viral Academy and my automated income machine as well.
Actually, you know what? Let's start doing something else too. If you can say what your channel is or what your business is in a sentence, don't take like 30 minutes.
My channel is doing video essays on film, philosophy, and sometimes politics.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So my question is I guess it pertains to growing organically using different social media platforms, like along with YouTube. So my personal example, I have 55 subscribers on YouTube. I have 30 Twitter followers, and let's just say maybe 100 Instagram followers. How to, I guess, how to continuously do things to grow the platforms there organically, so that you're consistently getting more followers and more followers and more followers to eventually get bigger. I feel like that's my particular wall. Maybe for people starting out, it would be their wall too, in a way.
Yeah. So let me try to rephrase. The question is, you have these social media platforms. How do you grow all of them at the same time?
Let's say grow YouTube for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Using other ones, or bouncing them off each other.
Using other ones?
Yeah, damn, I wish I could freaking put this in words.
I'm going to say this. First, my preliminary answer is just focus on one.
Yeah.
Don't focus on a bunch of social media assets at a time, unless you're just trying new things. But if you try to grow 3 different social media assets, your focus is being split. Again, this is part of the one thing, that book. So YouTube sounds like your main platform. Okay, so the question is about YouTube. How do you grow it?
Yeah.
Using other platforms, or just how do you grow it?
Just how do you grow it?
Yeah. So okay. So the question is, how do you grow your YouTube audience? First off, you take Viral Academy. But here's the thing. There's so many times where I talk to somebody, and not saying that you're part of this group, but I talk to people and I say, hey, what's the biggest problem that you're facing right now? And they say, I just need more views. I need to grow my channel. I need more subscribers, right? And so when it comes to YouTube content, growth is actually incredibly easy. Growing your channel is actually the easiest thing to do in the world. So I'll give you a really great example. I have we have moderators that moderate the forum and then also the Discord channel. If you guys don't know there's a Discord channel, then you should join it. But whenever they see good content, they have a really good eye for it now too. Whenever they see good content, they'll message me and say, hey, look, this guy or this girl is doing really well, but they're not getting views. You should check them out. And if in the case that they are making really great content, I will literally just take 15 minutes out of my day to post it on Reddit, get a bunch of people to upvote it, and then they get to the front page. Not to front page of Reddit, but to a front page of a subreddit and get thousands, even tens of thousands of views. It's incredibly easy. It takes me 10 minutes, right? And so the reason that it takes me 10 minutes is because it's not because of this Reddit hack, which we share in the course. It's not because of that Reddit hack. The reason that it gets to the front page of that subreddit is because the content is really fucking good. And so whenever people ask me like, how do I grow a channel, or like I'm stuck at growing the channel, I always ask, is your content 10 out of 10 good? And chances are it's not. So the answer to your question is, the way that you grow it is you practice making really, really great content. And there's a few ways you can do that. One is just doing your research, being on Reddit, like certain subreddits that relate to your audience, and just Reddit r/videos every single day, YouTube trending every single day, and then watching a bunch of different YouTube channels to get inspiration from. The other thing is that you have to continue creating videos. Just know that at the beginning, your content is going to be shit. You're not going to know what's good content, and you're going to put out this video and think, oh shit, this is so much better than what I had before, but it's still not amazing, right? And so the more you do those two things, the more you understand what is good content and what is not, and the more you can improve your own content. Once, again, I want to repeat, once you have really great content, growth is actually incredibly easy. Like, it's incredibly easy. It's so fucking easy. The really, really hard part is getting good content and understanding what good content is. Wow, more hands went up now. I feel like after every question, it's like it leads to more questions. But that's what we're here for. It's all good, you guys. All right.
Okay, so this is a question for you, Kong, and for the audience as well. I'm on Viral Academy, and I'm wondering how much on the forum are you actually reading? Is it like one post a day, or nothing at all, or everything? And then also, is there like 10,000 members on Viral Academy, and why is there not more people posting on the forums?
Okay, so let's address the first question. How much are you reading on the forum every day? I don't read it every day. I would say I spend about an hour per week on it, split up into maybe like 2 or 3 days. And I don't really post that much because I'm trying to figure out a solution for this, but because a lot of people in the forum already give really great feedback. And so I'll read a thread, and I'll be, it'll be a question. I click on it. I'll be like, that's a really good question. And then in that thread, there's a really good answer. And so, nice. I think the whole audio system just fucked up. But I think there's especially when it comes to community, people overvalue my advice and they undervalue the advice of others.
Just to say, I'm asking about how much you're reading, not about how much you're writing.
Oh, sure. How much I'm reading. Yeah, I would say about 1 hour per week. So I think that gets about, I hope, about 80% of posts that week. And so, yeah, I guess that answers your question. But the other question is, why aren't more people posting on the forum? Because I think there's 2 reasons. One is that the forum, it's what I said before. People undervalue the advice of others. There's a lot of studies that have shown that when you have a classroom of peers, if you have 10 people, for example, I forget what the numbers are, but let's say you have 10 people, and everybody grades each other's work, and 9 of those people grades one person's work, the average of those 9 grades actually turns out to be pretty accurate. And so that's why we set up the forum in the first place. But the reason that it doesn't seem that way is because you're reading it from these people that haven't had success before, right? They've went through the course, they understand the theory, but they haven't had success. So people undervalue their advice. The other reason is because I think it's just human nature. A lot of people tend to start something and they see that it's hard and they start procrastinating, and they'll say, I'll do this next week, I'll do this next week, I'll do this next week. So it's those 2 things, at least in my opinion, why people don't post enough on the forum. With that said, I think there's a lot of improvements that we can make as a company on the forum as well. And so these are things that, this is one of the reasons why I have these meetups, to talk to you guys, get your feedback, and figure out what the real needs are of people, and eventually build something that is going to be really useful to people.
Thanks.
Yeah.
My name is Fire Draws. I do gospel hip hop on my channel.
Cool.
And,
Gospel hip hop?
Yeah. And I'm looking to add teaching lyricism, complex lyricism and wordplay on the chat post, but that's my thing. Secondly, thank you for flying out and just taking this time with us to, speak about this. Anyway.
Yeah, no problem. I told my co-founder Peter, I was like, yeah, I'm going for a meetup. So let me spend company money and fly out. No, but yeah, it's great meeting you guys. I love it.
A question is that when it comes to, I guess, receiving royalties or payments from YouTube, is it just as simple as clicking the monetization button, or do we have to go through some other process?
So the question is, the question is, when it comes to monetization on YouTube, what do you do? How easy is it? Is it just clicking a button? They made it harder now. Yeah. So before, from what I remember, when I was first starting, you would have to apply. It was really actually hard to get into the partner program. Eventually, they made it so that anyone can monetize their videos and run ads on it. Recently, I don't know if you guys are, basically, there was a lot of advertising issues where advertisers were like put on, like Nazi propaganda videos or like, ISIS videos. And so the views, it's like the views weren't that high on those channels, but because they were on there, the media blew it out of proportion. And because of that, YouTube had to respond. So now they made it a lot harder to monetize your videos. So now, I forgot what the exact numbers are, but you have to meet a certain criteria, X number of views, X number of like watch. Yeah, 4,000 watch hours in the last 3 months or something like that. You guys can look it up. But essentially, I don't think you need to worry about that because I looked at the numbers like a couple of months ago, and I was like, even if you got to that point, what is it, 4,000 watch hours?
You could hit 4,000 pretty easily.
Yeah.
Subscribers might be hard, but
Yeah, I think it's like 10,000 subscribers. And I looked at the numbers and I extrapolated it out to how much you would make. And it was like $50 a month or something like that. And so it's like, you're not really missing out on that much. So I wouldn't worry too much about that as of right now. There are way better ways to monetize off of YouTube. Patreon, selling your own digital products, things like Teespring, like there's just so many, for musicians, live events, there's just so many different ways that you can monetize. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. But to answer your question, it is a lot harder now. Yeah.
Do you think, this question is for AIM, do you think that the AIM, the course, the whole product, could work in a foreign country? And if so, what are the factors that should be taken into consideration while doing that?
So the question is, for AIM, which is creating your own information products, can it work in other countries? So I would say 100% yes, because about 40% of our students are actually international. With that said, they're English-speaking countries, but that's because we haven't tried to promote it to other languages yet. And so, yeah.
What about are there any, like, could it be different than how people are selling in the US? Will it be different?
Could you target other places with languages, I guess?
Like, I know, like, in here, like, selling something, compared to other countries, it's extremely easy. Selling a product in the US is extremely easy compared to other countries from my own experience. So I just thought that could be a potential.
No, okay, yeah. So is it difficult to sell in other countries? Marketing-wise, no. Because if you think about human psychology and what we react to, it's generally pretty similar across all cultures. The only thing that is, the big differences though, are kind of, I guess, other nuances in the culture. For example, I know a startup in Brazil that's trying to sell their own product. It's something for colleges, but the main problem there is that people don't have credit cards, right? And so they said, I think something like 30% of people have credit cards. I don't know exactly what the number is, but it's not like here where every person has a credit card. And so now that makes it harder to sell an online product. So if you have kind of hurdles like that, yes, it will make it harder. But if you're asking, will the funnel be different? will like the advertising or marketing be different? Generally speaking, no. The way you talk to them, absolutely. You have to be able to understand your target audience, and people in China respond to different language of marketing and advertising than they do in the US, absolutely. But generally speaking, at least for AIM, the funnel that we've given is something that has worked in multiple other countries. How do we know? Because that funnel that we've created is a culmination of a bunch of different of marketing funnels that we've experienced, and they have worked in other countries before, and they all, if you look at it, seem very, very similar in terms of structure. Now, language-wise, what you write in the emails, that's what's different. Yeah.
So back on monetization, like my channel has like the right amount of subscribers and like views. I talk about NBA basketball, and it's been like pending. It says like wait till the end of April, and now like the end of June. So would you recommend me to just wait and just try to build up my content as much as possible at the meantime?
So the question is, right now I've been waiting 2 months to monetize. Should I just focus on growing my channel? Yeah, absolutely. How many views are you getting per month?
Like right now it's been kind of like slowing down, like 1,600 like right now.
Per month?
Yeah, just one video got me like 500 like subscribers.
So 1,600 views per month, you're looking at about like $16 per month. Wait, no, wait. No, you're looking at, we're looking at $2 per month. $1.60. You shouldn't worry about this stuff, man. Yeah, you're not losing out on anything. Let me be really clear on this. YouTube advertising and monetization on YouTube doesn't make you shit. It doesn't make you anything, unless you're like a PewDiePie and you're getting 50 million views per month, right? And in that case, he's getting like $50,000. But if you're making I remember when we were at our peak. First off, this was at our peak of our YouTube channel, and number one, and then number two, it was at the peak of how much you would get paid from advertisers, because YouTube was really hot back then, and all the money was pouring in. We were getting about 15 million views per month, and we were making about $20,000 per month, which seems like a great amount, and it was, but keep in mind, minus expenses, and then split between, at that time we had 4 people, we were making like a decent salary, right? Again, I'm not complaining, but that was at the peak, and to get to 15 million views per month is pretty fucking hard. With that said, we were making 8 times that much. Was it 8? No, 9 times that much on selling our own digital products, selling merchandise, and then also selling, and then also brand integrations. So reaching out to brands ourselves and then getting them to say, like, hey, we'll promote, or saying, well, hey, we'll promote you on these videos. So you can actually make way more money doing these other things than you would on YouTube. So I wouldn't focus on that. I would just focus on these other monetization things. Yeah, back here.
Jumpcut, at what point did you or would you recommend sourcing out help, like either an assistant, but specifically editing, an editor? Since so much time is spent creating videos, and my experience is 3 times that can be spent editing the video.
So the question is, when would you outsource or hire someone for help, specifically with editing videos? I would say you can do it right now if you're rich. If you can afford it, sure, you can do it right now. But honestly, my opinion on making videos is, for those of you that are in AIM, I think you can outsource the editing of that because it doesn't matter as much, especially if you're just doing like a direct-to-camera type of thing. But for those of you that are in Viral Academy trying to make viral videos, editing is just so important that I wouldn't outsource it at all. Like, I would actually figure out how to edit, get really good at it, and use that skill to make really great content, because nobody has a better vision than you about what your content is, right? And if they do, they're gonna figure out really soon and be like, what the hell, I don't need this guy, I'm gonna go make my own content. And so I would say, try to do it yourself, like definitely do it yourself first, get an understanding of what is good content, what is good editing, And once that happens and you get a little bit of traction, then you can train people to edit for you. So until that happens, I would not outsource the editing if you're trying to make a viral YouTube channel. If you're trying to do something that is an educational course, I think that you have a little bit more leniency there in terms of hiring people. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm from the BA program, and previously you said that to ask ourselves like if I'm going to be satisfied with this idea 10 years from now. But I feel like right now I'm just in that position in my life where like I'm keeping an open mind about everything, and like I don't know, maybe 2 years from now even if I'm going to like the same things I'm interested in now. So kind of like how do you ask yourself that question if you're not like sure at this point you're not like, what your interests are?
So the question is, I said earlier basically to ask yourself, will you be happy with this in 10 years? But right now you're at a point where you're trying new things, you're being open-minded, and you don't even know if you're gonna like it in 2 years, right? So the one thing that I've learned about being an entrepreneur is that there's never any right answers. And if you read The Hard Thing About Hard Things by Ben Horowitz, which is actually the greatest book in the world for entrepreneurs, operationally, you start to learn that nothing is ever certain. And the greatest entrepreneurs actually make decisions based on uncertain data. And so my rule now, and I think a lot of other entrepreneurs follow this rule as well, is if you're 60% sure about something, then you should do it. And it's okay to make mistakes. So if you say, hey, I'm going to do this channel, or I'm going to make this business, I'm 60% sure that I'll be happy with it in 10 years, that's actually a pretty good, those are actually pretty good odds. But don't get carried away and say, I have to stick with this for the rest of my life. If you find that in 6 months or in a year that you're like, I'm kind of getting bored of this, you got to really consider changing it to something else. Because once it turns into this huge snowball that you can't let go, it's really, really hard to change it. So my answer to that is there's never going to be a right answer. Make decisions when you're 60, 70% sure, and don't be afraid to change your mind. Who's had their hand up for like a long time? Okay, yeah. Yeah. I can tell by your voice.
What's like the success in the like Jumpcut Academy? Like, what do you think? How many percent of people they get in like they become like a successful like a YouTuber or like successful on their online like product?
A very low amount. And again, that just goes back to, I think there's two reasons for that. The larger reason is that a lot of people just don't even like do anything. And so before we had the boot camp, we took a survey and we saw that about 70% of people finished the course. Right? So those 30% of people who didn't finish are already like out. There's nothing I can do if you don't finish it. But 70% of people finished the course. Out of those 70 people, we asked how many of you started a YouTube channel. And I believe 10 out of that 70 actually started. So you literally have 60% of people who watched the whole course and haven't done anything yet. And so I mean, on one end, I can say like, I can blame people and say, oh, you're being lazy or you're procrastinating or all that stuff. But on the other hand, for me as a CEO, I think that that's on us, right? If somebody finished the course and they didn't do anything, that's partially, or maybe like majority, our fault. And so that's why, again, these things are so important. When I send out surveys, they're very important because we learn these really, really interesting statistics about how people learn and what actions they take. And so that's why we started the boot camp, which is designed to actually get you started on your YouTube channel. And so to answer your question right now, it depends on what you mean success, but I'm going to define it as people who make a living on YouTube. It's still a fraction of people. But with that said, there's a more immediate problem, which is people might go through the boot camp, but then they stop after the boot camp, right? Like that's the thing that we're learning now. Or they'll get to the end of the boot camp and get to the point where at the end you have to make a video for 4 weeks, and then people don't make a video for 4 weeks. And so for me, I try to take these problems one step at a time. And the next problem we're trying to solve is how do we actually get people to go through the course, go through the boot camp, and then work for 6 months, like literally 6 months on their channel. and actually work on their channel in a way that is actually productive. And so if you guys have heard of the experimental fellowship that I've been doing, that's what we're trying to figure out. We're trying to figure out what can we actually do to not only get them on the right path, but actually get them to continue doing the work for literally 6 months. Yeah, so to answer your question, it's still a very small amount. But with that said, how many people have finished the course and done the boot camp and have worked for 6+ months and are successful? I would say a much larger amount. We don't have the exact numbers on it yet, but everybody who has worked on it for more than 6 months, I would say, is on the track to actually being successful. And that's one of the things that I want to do with the experimental fellowship. Anyone who's been working on it for a long time, I'm going to make it my duty to get them to succeed because they've been working really hard, and if they're not succeeding, that's my fault, right? All the way in back there.
Hi, my name is Marcus.
You'll be next. You'll be next.
I have a channel which is called Faulted by Default, and it's about the mistakes of my life. I'm kind of in a zone. If eventually I want to sell merchandise, shouldn't I get the trademark instead of the copyright, or would that work for that would protect my brand as brand and the logo itself with the copyright?
Okay, so the question is, should I get a trademark or copyright on my brands, right? I wouldn't worry about that right now. Unless you're a PewDiePie and you're getting 50 million views, nobody's going to copy you. Sorry to say, nobody's going to copy you. With that said, once you get traction and you're getting millions of views, absolutely. I forgot what the difference is between trademark and copyright. Some law school student here is going to know. You can look it up. But essentially, it's not worth. Not necessarily, I don't think. But anyway, I don't want to give legal advice. It's not worth it to do those things unless you have traction. And again, as I said before, at the beginning, you're just going to fail a bunch of times. So the thing you start out with now might turn to shit and you won't use it.
But what if the account or the brand name has already been in an escrow account and I have to pay in order to get my brand back?
Wait, what if it's already been what?
In an escrow account online.
How's it in an escrow account?
I don't know.
Just choose another name. What's the name of it?
It's called Faulted by Default.
Flaunted?
Faulted.
Faulted by default. Just choose another name, man. Here's the thing, you guys. The name does not matter as nearly as much as the actual content. And so, yes, there are exceptions to that when you see big brands like Apple or Google or something like that. But it's like right now, unless you're trying to make $1 billion tech company, the name that you choose right now is not going to be a significant factor to your overall success. Just look at the top 50 channels. They have some weird names. Like, what is PewDiePie? Right? What's Kurzgesagt? It's like some German word that nobody can remember. But then they changed it later to Kurzgesagt / in a nutshell. And then they changed, after they got hundreds of thousands of subscribers, they changed, they added an English version of it so people can remember. And so I wouldn't worry about it too much is my answer. But don't get me wrong, I thought about that too when I first started. We literally, I think we trademarked Simple Pickup and spent 3 weeks doing it. And it was a huge mistake. I wish I didn't spend those 3 weeks doing it. Yeah.
So I have two.
Oh wait, sorry, you went already. No, I can't. I gotta. Okay, fine. Let's do a quick one. You said you had two. Just do one. Just do one.
Really appealing YouTube channel concepts that I consider I'm an expert
Okay.
in. Okay. And they both incorporate the infotainment.
Yeah.
Concept. Would you pursue both channels, or is that too much of a workload? Second question is, how do I eliminate one or the other to get it down to the best one?
Okay, I can answer that all in one pretty quick answer. So the question is, I have 2 channels. Should I do 2 separate channels or 1 channel? And second question is, should I, how do I narrow it down to 1? I think you should just do 1 channel and try multiple things. And it might not even be 2 things. It could be 10 different things. But keep in mind that eventually when one hits, you have to stick with that one. And so right now, don't do 2 channels. It's not worth it. Just do a bunch of things on one channel and try to make it work.
And how would I decide on two easily appealing channels that I'm juggling with? And they both have virality.
Just pick one and then do it. Yes. Yeah. I mean, granted, I mean, it's like what we said earlier, right? Granted, you like them both the same. I would always say pick the one you like more, like you could see yourself doing in 10 years. But considering that that's equal, which I'm guessing that is here, then eating, meeny, miny, mo. And here's what you're going to find. Here's what you're going to find. You're going to pick it, and then you're going to do it. You're going to send it out to people. You're going to get feedback, and you're going to say, oh, shit, well, that wasn't a great idea. I'm going to iterate on it and do this other thing. And you're going to send it out to people. That's not a great idea. I'm going to iterate on it and do this other thing. 5 times down, like 5 episodes down the road, it's going to turn into a completely different thing. And it's the same with your second idea. So I wouldn't, for all of you that are doing this, whether VA or AIM, I would not assume that your first idea is going to be a hit. I would assume that your first idea is going to be a failure, but you learn from that failure and you iterate on it to make it better. Yep. Yeah.
I think this question is relevant for both courses. How do you keep yourself safe when you're releasing personal information? Because I know YouTubers that have either had like stalkers or identity theft or just like a lot of other crazy things. Do you have any tips on keeping yourself safe when you're presenting your face in front of a camera and you are talking about personal things that could be used for like security questions or like, I don't know, I think that's wild. So,
yeah, so the question is, how do you keep yourself safe because you're putting your face out there and there's going to be crazy people that are stalkers or try to harm you in some way. I don't think that there's a 100% surefire answer for that. With that said, generally speaking, you're not going to come across that. You hear these really crazy stories about YouTubers and stuff doing that, but what you don't hear about is like the 99.9% of people who don't experience that, right? So with that said, it is something to be concerned about for sure. And I think that to take the safety, like the necessary safety precautions, just use, it's not really common sense. It's like just keep in mind that you shouldn't be giving away super personal information. So the obvious ones are address, phone number, that kind of thing. With that said, once you, I think it becomes a problem once you become really, really big, right? And once you become big, hopefully you're making money by then if you're implementing these monetization strategies. And when you make money, I would highly, highly consider hiring the right people in order to keep yourself safe. So lawyers will help you out a lot. For us, every time we go to a hotel, I'll tell people like, hey, don't put my name on there, put somebody else's name on there. There's just like certain things, and our lawyer told us to do that, right? So, and we're paying him like $400 an hour. And so, again, when you're starting out, just be careful, use your own judgment. But in the future, I would say spend the money to protect yourself in various ways. Yeah, there's so many different things I do to try to keep myself from crazy people. But once you guys get to a point where you're worried about that, just let me know and I'll tell you like all the nuances of it. Yeah, but for the time being, just be smart about it. Don't give away like super personal information. Name is okay, but everything else, try to keep it in the dark. Yeah.
Hey, how you doing? How's everything?
I'm good.
Thank you for being here and sharing your experiences with us.
Yeah, no problem.
And taking our questions. So I had a question about being successful and how you, once you get your channel going, my channel is actually about cars and modifications and stuff. Once you become successful, how do you keep that ball rolling? How do you basically, is there any rule or anything else as far as to keeping it, relevant and keep being relevant as a channel?
Okay, so you're asking, once you become successful, how do you keep your channel relevant? I think you just have to continue innovating. Don't make the mistake of like doing the same thing over and over and over, because eventually your content's going to get old, as it did for us. And when our stuff started getting old, we used to do like these kind of prank style videos where we would try to get girls' numbers using like cheesy pickup lines and stuff. And once we started seeing a plateau on that, we introduced another kind of show, quote unquote, which was interviewing people about sex and dating, right? Specifically outside bars when they were intoxicated. And so, and then once that kind of plateaued, we started doing something else, and we started a new channel. And so I would say just continue to innovate and don't let the success get to you and think that you're invincible. All right, up here.
Yeah. How scripted do you say your videos are? Are they word for word, or do you have topics that you want to talk about in general?
So the question is, how scripted are our videos? The ones that we're on the street, the prank videos, those aren't scripted. Those aren't scripted at all. I mean, the jokes are, but everything else is obviously done in real time. But the direct-to-camera videos, it depends. So for me, I script the whole thing word for word, and then I look at the paper, I do it to the camera, look at the paper, do it to the camera. Jesse actually does it differently. He likes to have bullet points because he works better that way. So I think it just depends on your style. And he likes to, he just likes to have like really broad sentences, and then he improvs it. Because if he found that if he's reading, he doesn't come off natural, and it just doesn't feel good for him. But for me, if I improv, I just suck, and it's like a horrible experience for our editors. And so I've just done it word for word. So it depends. Yeah, just try both, see what works for you. Yeah.
Yes. I wanted to know, in the future.
In the future?
Yes.
What future are we talking about here? Like AI future?
Will there be categorizing of types of YouTubers per location? Because I found that was kind of difficult for me to like try to find other YouTubers that have similar channels as me or like within the same category in the same location. Because on the message.
Wait, sorry. What do you mean categorization? Within our forum?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I'll find somebody, but then they'll be in Ohio, and I'm like, damn, I can't. So like, is there gonna be categorizing?
Yeah. So we have a collaboration section right now that is not working out as well as I thought it would be.
I was not kicked out.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, if you.
I only sent one thing in the collab because I did it wrong. Like, and there's a learning curve to the.
Yeah.
Like, so those are two.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up. So we, like literally next week, it's on our engineering backlog. One of the engineers is like redoing the whole collaboration section. Sorry, actually, I shouldn't say next week. Within the next 4 weeks, because we do it. Yeah, because we do it by 2 week. We do it by 2 week sprints. So within the next 4 weeks, somebody's going to be working on that. That's one of the things that I know people really want, but the experience on the forum isn't. It's definitely not world class, which I would like it to be. So. Yes, in the sense that there's going to be a collaboration section. No, in the sense that there's not going to be like a sub-forum for it, because then I think that kind of.
Not a sub-forum, just easier for me to find these people, like New Yorkers.
Yeah.
YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Filter.
No, 100%. We already have, Kel literally designed that like 4 or 5 months ago, but yeah, we just haven't had enough engineering power in order to get it done yet. But thank you for the feedback. I really appreciate it. Yeah, over here. I didn't even know there was people over here. You guys got this nice little couch.
Yeah, it's comfy. What did you want to be when you were a kid? That's one.
Okay.
And if you were not doing YouTube, you weren't CEO of your YouTube, company, what would you rather be doing? What would you, if this was out of the picture, what else would you want to be doing?
Okay, so first question is, what did you want to do when you were a kid? I recall wanting to be an astronaut, but for a large part of that was like really little though, before I realized how smart you have to be for that. I thought you just go in space and you just float around. I was like, hell yeah, that sounds so fun. But I would say what I wanted to be was, for the majority of my life, was actually a doctor. And it came from this like feeling that I wanted to help people, but unfortunately, the other part of it was from my parents, and they said, "Hey, be a doctor or a lawyer because those are like legitimate professions that you have to be." And so I listened to them, and I said, "Yeah, I want to be a doctor." So literally for like since I don't know, I want to say 5th grade to 12th grade for 7 years of my life, not 12th grade, to like 11th grade, 6 years of my life, I thought I wanted to be a doctor. And it wasn't until I was in high school in 11th grade, I joined this club called FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America, which is essentially a speech and debate for like business, that I found out I want to be an entrepreneur. I love business. This is great. And so, yeah, I would say the answer to that question was a doctor, but it's not in the glorified way of people thinking, oh, I wanted to do this when I was a child. It was very influenced by my parents, who I love, but their view of the world is just different than mine. So the second question is, I forgot, what was it?
If you were not doing this, what else would you want to be doing at this point in your life? If this wasn't even an option, where would you want to see yourself?
If this was an option, where would I want to see myself? I know that I would want to be an entrepreneur of some sort. I think that if I had to literally pick, like literally go back in time right now and say, you can't do that, do something else, I would probably be an engineer and create some sort of like, I'm really a big fan of Airbnb, and then even Peerspace, which is like Airbnb for like event spaces, which is what we use to book this. And so I'm really a big fan of Airbnb, and I would want to start something like that. Yeah, something that connects the world and brings them together. Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot.
Yeah. How many people completed the AIM
I
course, and
apologize.
how long did it take them to do so?
How many people completed the AIM course, or
No, I mean worked on the project.
how many people do we have? 1,200? AIM course.
Yeah, on the team.
Oh, on the team. Okay. Worked on how many people worked on the AIM course? I think about 12. Yeah.
And how long did it take to complete it?
So including like research and learning, probably 3 years. But like including, if you just talk about how much time did it take for the whole team to be all hands on deck and completed, I don't know, 6 months, 6 to 8 months, something like that. Yeah. But keep in mind too that we are very experienced in this, and we knew what was going to work and what was going to not work. So for everybody that's starting out, I wouldn't say spend 6 months on it. I would say spend very little time, put it out there, get feedback, iterate on it.
Can one person do all of that for 1,200 people? Is that realistic?
Yeah, when we did our first information product with Simple Pickup, it was really just me and Jesse, honestly. That's why we fired Jason, if anyone's wondering. It was really just me and Jesse, and we decided to, was it? Yeah, it was mainly me and Jesse, and it took us like a month. So with one person, I'm guessing maybe 2 months, 2.5 months. Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
I have a question about marketing YouTube channel.
Uh-huh.
Is there like a specific way like to market your channel to get more viewers? I think it's really hard to get viewers.
Yeah, I would just refer back to what I would just refer back to what I talked about earlier, which is just make sure your content's really good. Like getting more viewers is extremely easy. Once this is my metric of success for a lot of people. It's still in the works, but my metric of success is if you show it to 10 people, right? And if they say, holy shit, in all caps, holy shit, this is great, so funny, or so emotional, whatever it is, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. If you send it to 10 people and 5 people do that, that's when you know you have good content. Because everyone's going to tell you, oh yeah, it was good, right? But that's not the truth. Of course they're going to say it's good. They're not going to tell you it's shit. I'll tell you it's shit. But they're not going to tell you it's shit. It's your friends. It's your family. But if they're really, really excited about it, that's when you know you have great content. And in that case, post it on the forum. Someone will eventually message me, and literally within 15 minutes, I will get you tens of thousands of views. The growth part is extremely easy, so I wouldn't worry about that right now. But with that said, if you really want to do something to just get a little bit of growth, because you have to have some viewers to at least get some feedback, collaborations is really good. Find other people who are similar, who have similar audiences to you, and get basically their audience. You promote each other. And then number 2 is find blogs and forums and communities on the internet that are in your niche. All right, I think we have time for 2 more questions. Who has their hand up for a long time and has a question that you guys don't even know what I'm saying, but you still have your hands up. and has a question that's really going to benefit everybody. Okay, let's start in the back there.
I don't know if it benefits everybody, but
it's all good.
Hi, Pom. I'm Asia Monet. I'm actually a model here in NYC.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely love the Viral Academy as far as being motivated to create content and everything. But
Yep.
I want to know, like, as an individual, as a personality or a model, what kind of content would you suggest one have on their
You mean like in general or for you specifically?
For my career range specifically, and the reason why I asked is I also came across James' company, Runway Connect, so I actually have connected with that as well, which has helped specifically for the modeling industry. So I want to know, do you have specific?
Got it. So I'm not going to say your niche specifically because that's not going to help everybody. We can talk after. I'll give you some ideas. But I'm going to tell you this. I'm actually glad you brought that up because there's one thing that this is a preview of basically the experimental fellowship that we're doing. So what I've done in the past few months is coach a lot of people one-on-one, just in my spare time on nights and weekends. And what I found is this formula that has worked really, really well. So basically, you take your niche, right? Like basically you write down like 3 to 5 niches that you are very familiar with, that you really are passionate about. For you, it's modeling. For others, it might be cooking, fitness, whatever. You write down 3 to 5. And then you pick one of those that you're the most passionate about. And then from there, you research 25 competitors, right? And direct competitors, people that are similar in that similar niche. Then you research 25 indirect competitors. So if you're doing modeling, then don't go for other modeling channels, say maybe makeup channels, right? These are indirect competitors. Then you look up 25 or more just channels that you like. So you have to do a lot of research on YouTube, go on Reddit, find channels that you really enjoy that has nothing to do with your channel. So now you have 75, so you have your one niche and 75 different channels, right? And what you do is you just, there's this saying of good artists copy, great artists steal. And I consider myself to be a great artist, and I am shameless about stealing. And so what you do is you take your niche and you go through that 75 list of channels. You figure out what they're doing, and you say, can I copy that for my niche? Can I copy that for my niche? Can I copy that? So the direct competitors, you have to innovate a little bit because you can't just blatantly copy them. But for the indirect competitors, you could blatantly copy them, but it's for a different niche, right? Because they're indirect competitors. And then the best part is actually the channels that have nothing to do with your niche. And you say, can I copy them? Can I copy them 25 times? And now you literally have a list of 75 different channels that you can make. And then you look at that list and say, okay, can I combine some of these? And eventually you come up with a list of 200 things that you can potentially make. And when that happens, sure, many of them are going to be shit ideas. But there's going to be a good handful of them where you're like, I think there's something here. And then you try that. So the general answer for everybody here is you guys should really do that. If you're having trouble figuring out what your channel is going to be about, or even what your business is going to be about for AIM, literally just go through that sequence and steal ideas. Again, stealing does not mean you're blatantly copying them. Stealing means, oh, they did this one thing really well, but I'm going to put it into my niche and do it like this. Yeah. All right, we got one more. Let's go here. Everybody else, come to me after. Yeah.
I have a question that is applied to me, but can also be applied to similar scenarios. So, what do you do if you're not perfect with your content writing? So for me, it's cryptic social anxiety, but I don't give a shit. I want to do it anyway. I'm terrified of camera. But other people, you don't have the perfect idea, you don't have the perfect video. Should you take a simple approach, just jump in, fuck it, put it out there, only weirdness, awkwardness, or whatever? Or should you wait until it's perfect, practice, prepare, because this is for making money, so you want to rather perfect it?
Wait, are you saying should you do it if you're not good at it?
For me, for example, if I were to go on a camera, I would be just shaking from...
Oh, on camera, you're saying?
Yeah. So in this, for other people, they have an idea, they're not sure it's good. It's like, it's an alright idea, or practice it, prepare, like rather take several weeks or a month or whatever to prepare and only put it out there when it's really perfect?
No, don't wait till perfect. So there's a saying in the startup community, which is done is better than perfect, or some variation of that. And what you're saying right now, so the question is like, should you practice, be perfect, and then put it out, or should you just put it out when you suck, right, essentially? Yeah, I'm going to tell you this. If you do that and wait until you're perfect, when you put it out, you're still going to suck. That's the issue. And no, seriously, this is very, very universal to everybody. There's so many people in Silicon Valley that they work at Google, they work at Facebook, and they have, maybe not those two companies, but they are engineers, or they're building this product, or maybe they're building this company, and they have this idea of what they want in the world. And they take, the classic example is they take 6 months, a year, 2 years to build their product, and then when they release it, nobody wants it. And that's because what actually works is genuinely pretty counterintuitive. What goes viral is genuinely pretty counterintuitive, and you have to learn that by failing first, right? It's almost like, the best example I can give you is, let's say you're learning basketball. You're basically asking me, should I read books, take courses on basketball, practice by myself, and then join the NBA when I think I'm perfect? Or should I go out there, play some street basketball, like fail like crazy, and then learn like that? It's way better than to just go out there and fail first. So never try to be perfect. Just like everybody here, if there's anything you take away from this meetup, it's that you're just going to suck at first. Unless you've been doing videos and short form content for a long ass time, you're just going to suck when you first come out. And that's totally okay. I sucked when I first did it as well. We failed tons of times in other videos. But the benefit of putting it out there is now you're not trying to perfect something where you don't even know what perfect is. The point of putting it out there is so that you can get feedback from other people and say, all right, here's how I'm going to grow myself. Here's how I'm going to iterate on my content. And eventually, that's a faster way of learning what perfect is, quote unquote, than you just practicing by yourself and not getting feedback. Yeah. All right, guys, I think that's the last question for now. Thank you so much for coming out. I'm still going to be here for the next 45 minutes. So if you have any questions, come up. Yeah. Otherwise, have some more drinks, meet amongst yourselves. Thanks very much.